While our inaugural cruise on board of Icon of the Seas was absolutely amazing, there were 5 things that we didn't care for. Watch this video so you can be aware of them and not have an unpleasant surprise like we did. To save money on this cruise, we originally booked a neighborhood balcony guarantee. As I was looking at cabin availability before getting our room assigned, I kept seeing 2 types of cabins that had the most spaces left open. It was infinite balconies, which is a new cabin type, and Surfside Neighborhood, which is a new location type. Since both of these were new concepts launching on Icon, I spent a lot of time researching both, trying to decide if we made a good choice. Ultimately, we ended up upgrading to the Ocean View Balcony Guarantee, and I'm very happy we did. I'll explain why in a minute in the next point.
Can't wait.
Now for this sailing, we ended up in an Ocean View Infinite Balcony, so we got to experience one of these 2 unknowns on my list. Infinite balcony cabins are one of the most controversial types of cabins available, and their specific design varies between different cruise lines. For Royal Caribbean, this is the first ship they introduced it on. From my reading, I saw that many people either love them or they hate them. We were somewhat in the middle, as we clearly saw some big positives in these cabins. However, there were also some very big negatives that made us dislike it. With that said, keep in mind that about half of the balcony cabins on Icon of the Seas are of this new type, so the cruise line is really pushing them as the new mainstream balcony cabin type. So if you're planning to sail on this class ship, definitely do your research before you book your cabin. I will link to a more detailed video going over the pros and cons of these cabins, especially on Icon, as I feel they missed out on some opportunities to make this cabin type a lot better than it ended up being. The second unknown was the possibility of ending up with a balcony cabin opening to the Surfside Neighborhood. Now, the Surfside Neighborhood is a fantastic area for families, especially the ones with younger kids. I think Royal Caribbean did an amazing job making traveling with younger kids easier by putting everything you need in one place. This neighborhood has 3 different pools, a play area, variety of dining options, and a bar that serves both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. I did have a more detailed overview of this neighborhood, and it actually is on my list of one of the top 9 big improvements Icon class ships have. With that said, the staterooms in this area might not be the best choice for every guest. Overlooking a lively area where the sounds of children playing are constant throughout the day, these rooms might feel more like being next to a children's playground rather than a peaceful retreat. Just to give you an example, this is what our ocean-facing balcony sounds like. And these are the sounds you would hear with your balcony open the whole day and late into the night if you have Surfside Neighborhood cabin. Now, I can hear some people say, well, what about Central Park or Boardwalk on Oasis class ships? We've stayed in balconies in both of those neighborhoods, so let me give you a comparison. Here's the difference. Central Park is usually pretty quiet, as most people just take a leisurely stroll through the park. While the Boardwalk area can get somewhat loud, it's very different because Surfside is a dedicated children's playground and pool area where families come and spend hours or even full days, versus just a busy walk-through area on the boardwalk where most people are on their way to either a restaurant or a water show. Also, just to clarify, I love kids and we have traveled with our 2 boys on many vacations and cruises. And for some people this may not be a deterrent, but I feel that it's important for everyone to be aware of this as they're booking their cabins. Personally, after spending some time in the Surfside Neighborhood, I was glad that we changed our cabin location to the ocean side, where we had a lot more peaceful atmosphere. Discussing specialty dining on any cruise ship is a highly subjective topic. There are probably as many opinions and preferences as people who are discussing it.
How would you like those steaks cooked?
Well, just knock its horns off, wipe its nasty old ass, and chunk it right down on the plate.
Same for me, please.
Therefore, these are our personal opinions from the inaugural cruise, which, despite the ship's capacity for 7,600 passengers, sailed with around 5,000 guests. The great news is that after visiting several specialty dining restaurants and as well as having several dinners at the main dining room, the food and the service were outstanding. We did not have any problems with any of the meals that we were served. The staff was just bending over backwards to make us feel special for being on that cruise. Primary challenge we encountered was the booking process for specialty dining venues, which were overwhelmed even with the reduced passenger count. Securing dinner reservations during the peak times of 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. was very difficult, which indicates that most restaurants might not have been designed to accommodate the ship's full capacity effectively. For example, when we visited Chop's Grill, the restaurant was so cramped that the tables were placed extremely close to each other. There was about 6-inch space between our table and the table next to us, which was a lot less than what we had in the main dining room. This arrangement took away from the intimate and cozy atmosphere that you would normally find at Chop's Grill, which is why we booked it. The food, though, was absolutely amazing, just top-notch. Royal Caribbean took a very different approach with Giovanni's table by placing it in the middle of the Royal Promenade. While the setting was light and airy, the constant flow of promenade traffic gave it the ambiance of an upscale windjammer rather than a secluded specialty dining experience. This may be a setting some people prefer. On the other hand, the openness to the promenade may feel like it lacks that exclusive atmosphere other people might prefer. Izumi, which we love for its hibachi, was excellent as always. However, I couldn't help but notice that it had a very limited seating capacity with only 5 hibachi tables. Given the ship's potential to host 7,600 guests, it's easy to foresee challenges for guests hoping to dine there. On our cruise, all hibachi dining was booked up long before the cruise sailed. Even though this video is about things we didn't like, I do have to give a shout out to the restaurant we enjoyed the most, and that's Hooked Seafood. The ambiance, food quality, and service were exceptional. It has a great layout with gorgeous sea views and just simply amazing food. So, to summarize this point, while the food and service across Icon's specialty dining were top-notch, I feel that Royal Caribbean may have underestimated the number of people that will want to visit these venues, which can lead to a lot of frustration for people who expect these dining options to be available during convenient dinner hours. If you plan to sail on Icon-class ships and really want to visit specialty dining restaurants, I would highly recommend booking them ahead of your sailing. This one is a smaller point that probably won't affect nearly as many people, unlike the final point coming up next that affects everybody cruising on Icon-class ships. In fact, I think some people may like this change, but we noticed some changes to traditional entertainment and theme night options that we are used to on Royal Caribbean ships. It's important to mention that this was the first sailing of Icon, so it's possible that not everything was ready yet, and these things may still to come. I'll give you a couple examples. One noticeable change was the handling of a white night. Traditionally, this night concludes with a fun white party. However, on our sailing, while there was a parade during the white night, there was not a specified white night celebration as you would normally expect. Another missing activity was a decades-themed party like a 70s or 80s night, which have been staples on Royal Caribbean cruises. Instead, there was a one-hit wonder party in the promenade, which had a range of popular songs from recent decades, and it did end up drawing a pretty good crowd. So while I personally hope that they're not doing away with that specific theme, these changes raise the question of whether Royal Caribbean is experimenting with new forms of entertainment and moving away from some traditional activities. I would love to hear what you think about this. Leave a comment and let me know if you think that there should be similar theme nights across the fleet so you can enjoy them on any ship, or would you rather see these activities vary from ship to ship? Icon of the Seas shows Royal Caribbean's move into the next level of cruising with impressive amenities and ship innovations. and the pricing structure reflects this. An average cruise on Icon-class ship is about twice as expensive as on Oasis-class ships for the foreseeable future.
Well, that's not good, is it?
The significant price difference may deter some cruisers from experiencing what this class has to offer. While we truly felt that our Icon cruise was the best cruise that we've taken so far, and the negative outlined in this video were really not close to putting a damper on our vacation, the price you pay for something plays a big role in your assessment of the overall experience. We did use a specific method to save around $3,000 on our cruise fare in a balcony cabin on the inaugural cruise, which was the most expensive fare you could find. So if you're interested in the Icon-class ships or are planning to book a Royal Caribbean cruise this year, and you're seeing these prices rising across the whole fleet, watch this video next, where I will reveal what's behind the prices, what this means for affordable cruising, and 4 different ways that you can save money on your next cruise.